Our first item is to start our roll call of members, starting with Scott.
Shepherd here.
Knapp present.
Capiello here.
Tessier here.
Allen present.
Driscoll present. Also with us this evening, we have Ernest Krevling, Town Planner, Laura Spector Morgan, Town Attorney, James Jennison, Zoning Administrator, and Barbara Irvine, Land Use and Planning Administrative Assistant. Item number 4 is design review continue from October 7th, 2025, lot 230-4 through 6, and lots 243, 14 through 18 in the general residential district. Joshua Manning, Sergeant Meadows LLC is the owner. And Stone and Beach, come forward if you'd like. Joe Coronati.
Thank you very much. My name is Joe Coronati from Jones Beach Engineers. I'm Joshua Manning, Lewis Builders, Sergeant Meadows.
Welcome.
Also have Pat Panciaco, attorney, Harold Morse, and Jonathan Morse with us tonight. I just handed out some revised plans before the meeting that we'd received comments from a couple different department heads. We had comments from your fire chief and your public works director. We also got a recent letter from CMA engineers just late last week. So we wanted to respond to those so we wouldn't come here tonight with open items in front of you. So we'll be happy to go through those items.
Okay.
I don't think they're too complicated. I think a lot of it is either stuff that we can address easily or show you on the plans where it is addressed.
Okay.
And, try to do that in the letter as well by showing you where the revisions or the items were located, the responses item by item, so you could follow along. I can jump right into that if you'd like, or we can desires.
Proceed. Jump in. What's the opinion?
So on our response letter, the first set of comments were from your fire chief. The first item response is in reference to the grades of the roadway. The length of his fire truck is 45 feet. I'm concerned about fire apparatus bottoming out on the road system and on some of the driveways. The roads have all been designed to your town standards. We have your maximum grade for a major roadway is 7%, which all these roads are 7% or less. And all the driveways, we have not designed all the driveways, but I know you have a driveway application that goes before the town in response or in review of every driveway. So we will comply with your driveway regulations as each driveway would be designed. The next comment is about cisterns. It relates to, he says, proposed cistern locations, none are noted on the plans. Current proposal of 79 lots would require 16 cisterns, 1 cistern per 5 lots. And once again, this is not the plan that we intend to bring forth for approvals, but we will obviously comply with your cistern requirements when we do so. And we'll add
It's actually required for any subdivision over 5 lots.
right.
And then within 1,000 drivable feet.
Right, we recognize that, but we didn't think it was necessary to go
Okay.
back and forth on
Sure.
how many exactly were required for a yield plan.
Yep,
Since,
that's fine.
we come forth with the open space design, we'll obviously be showing those, and that'll be something that'll be.
Okay.
The third comment references an alternative egress onto Old Settlers Road in the event of emergency. And similar to the last comment, this is a yield plan. We're not proposing, even if it wasn't a yield plan, we're not proposing any access onto Old Settlers Road from this site. We do have frontage on Old Settlers Road. Lot 19 over on the left side does have frontage, but for us to access that for a roadway would require a pretty extensive wetland crossing. We don't think it's necessary in the yield plan at all. We're not anticipating needing that access, even open space.
Some would say that that's not a viable lot if there's access available. Don't want to take access off of settlers, so.
For the purposes of a conceptual subdivision with conventional lots, that's absolutely. Ordinance reads a lot in a conservation subdivision can't come off a different purpose of the yield plan. This isn't a conservation subdivision yet.
Right.
So this is a conventional subdivision.
But what if we were to say no to a conservation subdivision? The fallback is you build this, right?
I guess so. We're required to do a conservation subdivision.
Yeah, well, I'm just, okay.
And if this had to be built, then that would be a legal lot. It has the frontage, the lot size, the upland.
On Old Settlers, yeah.
On Old Settlers, it'd be a frontage
Okay,
lot that we
right.
would certainly build on.
Good.
The next set of comments, that was it for the fire chief's comments. The next set of comments are from Department of Public Works. Comment is some lots appear to have septic very close to the perimeter of well. I think he references lots 23, 25, and might be a typo, but 97. And all I would say basically to that is that we are allowed to have the 4K areas and the well radii are allowed to actually be right next to each other. You can't have the intent of the DES regulations, which is ENV 1008.06, which goes through separation of septic and well. Basically what that says is, you're not allowed to have septic reserve areas within your well radius. And, we do not. They are close, but not within one another. The next item is lot 74. Well is close to stormwater management area. And once again, stormwater management areas are allowed within well radii for individual lots. The well radius requirement is for separation to septic systems. To stormwater structures. And we're not actually, if you look at lot 74, we're not actually within the well radius, we're just close to it. Let's see which page. So it's page Y14, which is page 36 of 59, lot 74. See, we called out a proposed stormwater management area, and it's not within the well radii of the well, it's just adjacent. The next item is, are the BMPs to be managed by Barrington Public Works? Which we answered, but I think it's more of a question for the board. But if this is a town road, then we would say yes, the Barrington Public Works would be involved. If this ends up being a private road, then no, all the management of all the infrastructure on the site, including the stormwater, roadways and everything, would be privately handled by the association. Which is basically the intent, go to the open space design. But once again, this is a conceptual yield plan. Final BMPs have not been designed until the conservation subdivision plan is submitted. The next item is, some areas are at a maximum roadway grade of 7%. A significant amount of elevation change throughout the project on the roadways, and agree, the yield plan has roadways at 7% grade. Your regulations. Right, which is in your, by your regs. And is also not very steep. All for road. The next one is, curbing will increase costs for wing shoe, which is a wear item, part of a plow blade. Response is, curbing will be reduced on the final conservation subdivision plan due to there being significantly less road lengths. And if the roadway is private, then there'd be the next item is, I think it's sheet P1. There's a 5% to a 2% grade coming onto Cannonback Road. Concerns of vehicles sliding into traffic and plow making up the grade on a right-hand turn, plow and wing down. Also drops off to 7% downhill. So if you can change to sheet P1, and the road grades haven't changed since the last meeting. We have as all towns have a requirement for intersection design. Sheet P1, you can see on the profile on the bottom, we have a 2% grade coming into Cannonback Road. We go up to a short section of 5% grade and then downhill. This meets your intersection design requirements. We're required to have 2% grade for 100 feet up to the intersection, either up or down. And we do have that. If there were concerns, we could actually, this is all within our site. We have complete control over those road grades. We could modify them. There's concerns about that. We don't think there would be, but as we go forward with a real full design, we can work with you on but the 2% is your requirement at road intersections. That relates to the next comment as well. P2, the next sheet, 7% grade to intersection, levels off somewhat 250 feet prior to intersection. The sheet P2 is a internal intersection. This is basically where the first loop road beats the right in there. So this is a 7% grade that comes down to a flat spot prior to the intersection. That flat area is 1.6%, which is less than your 2% requirement. And it's quite a bit longer than the 100-foot requirement also. So you have a 1.6% grade, which is flatter than your steepest grade at the intersection, but we also have it for about 175 feet prior to the intersection. The next comment is P4/P5 intersection of Road B to Road A at a slope disallowed. This one I looked at quite a bit. I was trying to see what the concern was. If you look at sheet P4, on the left side of the profile, we actually have these sort of solid dark lines that on the profile, which will actually show you where the intersections fall on the profile itself. If you look at those locations for roads B and C, all of our roadway in this section is 2% or less. So we're very flat through this section. Sheet P5, the beginning of that road is also at 2%. There's no, or the continuation of that road, I should say, stations 2600 out to 27 plus 50, also all 2%. This whole portion of the roadway is not steep and all within your design requirements for intersection design, which you have a pretty healthy table of intersection design requirements in section 12 of your subdivision regulations. More than a lot of towns I've seen, and we do comply with those. It's good to have those. But these are all in compliance with them. The next comment is P7, P8, P9, 1,400 feet of 7% grade. What is the radius of the bend at station 66 plus 00? And the grade at that intersection, or the grade at that station 66 plus 00 is a 200-foot 200-foot radius, which is greater than what you require. And all of the radiuses of the roads exceed your requirements. We don't have any that we would be looking for waivers from, for relief. That comes up again in the next, in CMA's comments. But the next comment is almost 4+ lane miles of road. This will require a major shift in plow routes, as this is about half of the normal route, as well as a cost for more salt, 100 to 400 pounds of salt per lane mile, temperature dependent. Our response is the current plan is just a conceptual yield plan. This is why we are proposing a conservation subdivision plan. Ultimately, on the conservation subdivision design, there will be significantly less road lengths. The next one is emergency and plow truck turning radius for cul-de-sacs. Cul-de-sacs have been designed for the subdivision regulations, figure 4A. Labels have been added to the plans to show the radius is provided. The very last page of the set, which is easy to find, we added your schematic of your cul-de-sac size requirements right out of table or out of figure 4A out of your regs. We've also added, so you could compare the two, we've added the radiuses to the cul-de-sacs that we're proposing. I'm gonna find those pages. So there's sheet Y15, which is sheet 37, Y16, the next page. You can see we have our inner circle of our cul-de-sac is a 50-foot radius. The outer circle is a 72-foot radius because we have 22-foot wide roadways. And then your requirements in your subdivision regs are that we have a 50-foot radius to the inside turn of the pavement, and you allow a range of 70 to 74 feet outside. And we're at 72, right in the middle of those. So we comply with your cul-de-sac dimensions, which I assume were derived based on your emergency and plow trucks to make sure, I'm sure you have other cul-de-sacs in town and they're all designed the same standard. The final item, Public Works, is add standard details from town spec cul-de-sac radius, intersection design. Is there anything for curbing, roadway construction, and turning radius for large vehicles? And I think the only detail we really needed to add for that was the one that we did add, which was the cul-de-sac size. The intersection design requirements are based on a table, which is in your regulations, and we already have standard road construction details and curbing details on there. I can keep going. There's only one more letter.
Yeah. Anybody want to continue on to the CMA comments?
I think the CMA comments are probably the
More
more important
important.
set of comments.
I agree. Yes, please.
So CMA comments, start off 1A. With the information provided, it is unclear if the proposed roadway alignment meets Table 1, road design standards for major access, current ASHTO's requirements. We recommend the roadway alignment design information be shown. So we have added on the Y sheets all of the radiuses of the curves. Sorry, they might not be on the. Maybe they're on the P sheets. Yes, they're so on sheets. There's a lot of them. So sheet P1 is our plan and the start of our plan and profiles. We provide the radius on the center line and the tangent lengths between. If you look at sheet P1, you'll see there's numbers along the center line of the road. There's starting at Canonback Road, there's a number 67.3. That's the length of the tangent, or we have a curve. The curve is a 250-foot radius. We have a 172-foot tangent. We have a 350-foot radius. So that continues all throughout all of the P sheets. We've labeled all of the radii and the tangent lengths on the entire road. You have kind of two main requirements in your subdivision regulations. You have a minimum radius requirement. This is in Table 1 of your road design section of your regulations, which is 12.2.6, and your regulations. Major access roads require 50-foot right-of-way, a 22-foot pavement width, where you designate your road grades, minimum 1% grade, max 7. You have minimum tangent length between reverse curves of 100 feet. You have a minimum centerline radius of 200 feet. All of these curves, and tangents meet those 100 and 200 foot requirements. And they're all listed on these plans. Second item is, says, in addition, broken back horizontal curves appear to be prevalent in the proposed development and should be avoided. And we have is roadway design is oftentimes a balancing act of avoiding wetlands, crossing at already impacted wetland areas, providing two means of access throughout the development, etc. We've minimized the number of areas where we have broken back curves. A broken back curve, in case you're wondering, which I kind of was, is when you have a curve, straight section, and then the continuation of a curve. So you kind of, you turn, you go straight, and then you turn again in the same direction that you were turning, which is the opposite of a reverse curve, which obviously would be you turn and then you would turn the other way. So I've never seen in my career a requirement for tangent lengths between broken back curves, and your regulations don't have a requirement for that length either. And it's not very common, or even heard that term before and had to Google it to find out what it meant. Once again, this is a yield plan to determine the number of lots, not the plan that we're hoping to build, but we feel that since you don't have a requirement of broken back curves, then we meet this road meets those, you know, your lack of requirement, I guess, because you don't have a standard, and with that, we would say we still have tangents between all of our curves of over 100 feet, which you do have a standard for tangent lengths between reverse curves. The next item is 1C. For subdivision regulations, table 1, cul-de-sac roadways are limited to a maximum length of 1,000 feet from the center of the intersecting road to the center of the turnaround area. It appears road C is approximately 1,100 plus feet long and does not meet town regulations. This was absolutely correct. We had not noticed that we were at 1,100 feet to the center of the cul-de-sac. We were going to the throat of the cul-de-sac, so we did pull that roadway back to meet your 1,000 foot length requirement. And you can see that sheet Y7 shows the length of that road now, but I think there's a better maybe there's not a better measurement of that, but you can see by the station numbers, which I'll get up and show you in 1 second. So a better page, P18, which is page 56, almost the very end of the set. Plan and profile for that cul-de-sac. And we're just below 1,000 feet to the center of the cul-de-sac. And you want to check the map. There's familiar with station numbers. The station near where the cul-de-sac starts at the intersection of Road A. Intersection of Road A is station 75 plus 00. And then if you look up at the As you go up the road, you'll see as the stations get higher and higher. And right before the throat of the cul-de-sac, we're at station 84 plus 00. So we're 900 feet, and then we have to the center of the cul-de-sac. So we're just below your requirement there. And we did, was something we had overlooked, was that it was to the center. So we made that change. 1D asks, are the two cul-de-sacs designed to town standards, in particular designed for fire trucks and town plowing? The answer is yes. We've been over that kind of once already with the radiuses of the cul-de-sac. At the intersections, the beginning of roads A and B do not meet town grading standards. The applicant should review the applicable town standards and update the proposed roads vertical alignment. We sort of already went over this as well, but we feel that the roads, both at A and B, meet your 2% requirement for 100 feet. And if there was some sort of instance where us and the town engineer couldn't meet eye to eye on that, we can change, since we control the road design going into our site. If he wants 2% for 400 feet, we can do that. We don't, we can just grade it. We were trying to show you a design of the yield plan that kind of worked with the existing grade a little bit. So we go up and then we get steeper, but we just continue on at 2%, or down at 2%. We have the ability to do either. But we do feel that this design does meet those requirements. Now we're on to number 2, proposed lots. Proposed lot 6 shows the existing building within the proposed lot's property line setback. The lot should be redesigned so the proposed lot meets the town regulations. And this is, that would be a truthful statement, accurate statement, I should say. If the building was staying, that building will be removed. And so we've noted, and your review engineer didn't have that knowledge to know that it was being removed. So his statement was perfectly fine. But we did note on sheet Y2, page 23 of the plan set, we did call out that that house will be removed. And 2B, the comment says it does not appear that all proposed lots meet the lot size requirements stated in zoning ordinance 4.2 and subdivision regulations 11.4. Examples lots 26 and 28. It's a kind of a generalized comment. We disagree that the lots do not meet the lot size requirements. Not sure which part of the zoning you feel that we do not meet, but these lots all meet the frontage, lot size, upland area, and contiguous upland per lot as outlined in the table on pages Y1 and Y2. Additionally, a conversation was held 10/7/25 planning board meeting about 3-to-1 dimension ratios. The planning board seemed satisfied that we met this intent as the ordinance uses the word generally. And I assume that's what he was referring to, was the lot shape requirements, because we meet those other requirements, I think, pretty clearly in the tables. It is unclear if steep slopes were considered in the development of each lot's building envelope. The applicant should show steep slopes on the plans. Steep slopes were considered when laying out the lots, and care was taken to not have the 4K areas in locations where slopes are steep when possible. Steep slopes were provided already and shown on the secondary resource plans, SR1 through SR8. But we have added those steep slope areas to sheets Y9 through Y16, which are our yield plan pages. You do certainly have reference to steep slopes in your regulations. However, you do not require any reduction in lot size or removal of those steep slopes from your lot sizes. So those are something that are required to be shown. There's nothing that prevents them from being built on or have roads designed over them.
I thought we had called that out to exempt them from the building area in our regulation. Right, and I thought we called it out as like exemption, we called it out to be exempted from the yield plan component of it as well for the lot size, because it's not a buildable or a usable area based on the steep slope criteria.
To be protected from the open space, I think. Sure, read the space.
I don't remember that.
Well, our definitions say steep slopes are 15% to just under 25. Very steep slopes
Or 25 and greater.
concern. Generally.
Now, there's nothing that we found that you do have definitions for steep slopes, and you started to define separations between those two grades, 15 and 25, but there was nothing that we found that actually says you have to subtract those like you do have for the upland and wetland areas, or that they can't be built on.
Well, the subdivision regulations are also from December 24. We have not completed updating that to reflect the new zoning. So,
And our intent,
but you will be not worrying about any updates. Plan was submitted prior to.
and our intent certainly to work with the slopes and not, build on them where we don't have to. Comes time. Getting there. Top of page 5. Some lots require impacts to existing wetlands, vernal pools, and/or buffers to access the proposed building envelopes. Lots 19 and 53 and others. These impacts require a waiver / variance / special exception and require review within a public meeting. Lot 19 is the lot that fronts on Old Settlers Road. It also has, I think maybe the confusion in the reviewer was that that lot also has frontage on our proposed road, but the intent of lot 19 in the yield plan is that it would be accessed from Old Settlers Road. We wouldn't be crossing the wetland from the proposed road to get to the building envelope. Old Settlers. Lot 53, that's shown on sheet Y11. I'm to see the layout of lot 19 with the 4K area and the well setbacks, and there is a sizable wetland. But that double dash line on the left side of lot 19, that's Old Settlers Road. That's the gravel road running by that particular lot. And that would be the access. Lot 53 is kind of way out back. Sheet Y16. It's the very large lot at the upper right corner of the parcel. That lot would have a long driveway. It already has an existing trail / some of these trails they've been traveled on for quite a while. These are pretty sizable trails. So you can see the existing trail running out towards lot 53. And that trail already crosses through wetland buffers and we could simply relocate a new driveway to that lot outside of many of the wetland buffers. And there is one section that where the existing trail goes through the wetlands, and that would be a crossing that we would have. So our
Joe, can I go back 1 second? I'm sorry. Lot 19 off of Settlers Road. Is Settlers Road a class 5?
It is, yes. So that was a lot of the ad-libbing, but my response was, Lot 19 will be accessed from Old Settlers Road and will not cross the wetlands or buffers for access. Lot 53 is a large parcel out back, and the proposed driveway for that lot can be routed around the wetlands for the first couple hundred feet, and then would use the existing trail for the portion that goes between the wetland pockets. Buffer impacts for actual impacts are required to get a special permit from the planning board and does not require zoning board approval. This is a conceptual yield plan. Any buffer impacts would be further looked at as part of a conservation subdivision design. And that's true with any of your designs for any of your projects. We would need approval from this board to have any buffer impacts, and they would all be reviewed, I'm sure, by the Conservation Commission with the overall final layout of the project. 1E or 2E, portions of the project require significant cuts fills to construct the roadway, with some cuts fills being more than 30 feet. It is unclear if driveways could be constructed for the proposed lots that meet town standards. The applicant should show proposed driveways with grading that meets town standards. Response is final driveway design will be completed as part of the conservation subdivision review process. Will depend on the house style, grading, and driveway permits will be required for each lot and will comply with your requirements. Viewing driveway details at this stage of the yield plan process is going beyond the reasonable scope of review for a yield plan. And we were to basically concur. We have 79 lots. We have large frontages. We have lots of topography on the property. But we haven't gotten to the point where we're deciding on the exact style of each house, the grading of the lot. That all weighs into the driveway design, and that typically is something that comes up during a thorough review process of the open space plan, where you'll be looking at the driveways. We can make all these lots work and comply with your driveway regs. It seems like an awful lot to do for a yield plan at this point.
There a problem?
Sure, I'm having a problem hearing. Do that, it'll probably. It just record.
No, I'll move this closer.
Mine, by the way, died.
Oh, yeah, we'll share then. Okay, sorry.
Oh, I guess we do have microphone. Could you move that? Yeah.
Oh, really?
If you could.
I feel like I'm yelling.
Yeah, well, because you're not talking in the microphone.
All right.
It's a very proximity sensitive thing. If you
All
can
right.
get it.
Well, I felt I was
Thank
loud
you.
enough to be heard
Apologize.
anywhere in the room, but I guess.
We were gonna have mics on the people, but the men wouldn't turn them off before visiting the men's
Oh.
room.
So
I can see a
board
problem
members
with
need to
that.
speak into your mics as
Right.
well. She says the same. The board member.
I'm on,
Okay. F.
I'm on 2F. The comment is, do the proposed lots meet the requirements stated in NHDES ENVWQ 1000 subdivision, individual sewage disposal systems? Yes, these lots are greatly oversized to have just one duplex on them and meet all state requirements. Your regulations require that we have 210,000 square feet per duplex lot, which
Excuse
is,
me, I'm sorry. That won't pick you up if you're off to the side, so it's gotta be right in front of you.
all right,
Yeah, you'll hear the echo when you're using it. It's functional. Sorry.
not a problem. So your lots require 210,000 square feet of land per lot, which is almost so large that we're almost above the 5 acre requirement for state subdivision review. State subdivision doesn't actually review lots that are greater than 5 acres because they believe that they're so large that you'll have a septic system on them. And these lots all have to be almost that size. And many of them are over 5 acres. So yes, we meet all of DES's requirements. The smallest lot DES allows is 20,000 square feet. So a tenth of the size of this would also be permittable in DES's eyes. 1G or 2G, I keep saying one. Septic reserve area shall be wholly within the building envelope and not within the property setback limits. Many do not meet this requirement. Lots 28, 30, and others does not appear that all proposed lots meet the lot size requirements stated in zoning ordinance 4.2. The first part of that comment relates to septic reserve areas. Septic reserve areas are allowed to be within 10 feet of the property lines per DES regulations ENV WQ 10804. That's the section of the state subdivision regulations that require all the setbacks. They have setbacks to many, many things, property lines and ditches and geothermal wells. It goes on. It's a pretty lengthy table, but the setback to property lines is only 10 feet. And all of the septic reserve areas are 10 feet or greater from the property lines. And the town of Barrington doesn't have a more strict setback requirement for septics than the state, which is typical in most towns. You follow along with the state setbacks, which is the 10 feet. So we are allowed to have the septic reserve areas within the building setbacks, just obviously not within the septic setbacks of the state, which none of these are. We kept all the septic reserve areas at least 10 feet from the property lines. The final comment is, are improvements needed to Canaan Back Road because of the significant increase in traffic volume? Response is, any improvements as may be required to Canaan Back Road will be analyzed and designed as part of the conservation subdivision process, not the conceptual yield plan. And that is something, I guess, that would be determined a little further down the road than at this stage, in our opinion, and I assume yours. So even though I handed out revised plans, not many changes were made to the plans. I think the two significant changes were that we shortened the cul-de-sac length on that one roadway to meet your cul-de-sac requirements, and we added all the roadway alignment numbers. We did not change the layout of the road. We didn't change the vertical profile other than that one cul-de-sac. Everything else has stayed the same. Number of lots is the same. All the lots still have test pits, septic reserve areas. And I'll be quiet from here for a little while and let you
And
comment.
members of the board have any comments? Any comments at all, not just specifically to this?
To me, this is a question to the board, I guess. Yeah, Mike, yeah. You know, I think we've required the driveway design on conceptual plans before. I realize it's an onerous thing because this project is so big, but it doesn't seem like a good reason to waive the requirement.
Yeah, I can think of Young Road and Oak Hill.
Mhm.
They had the driveways, yeah. And a conceptual location for the house. too.
Yeah, and building location, which is part of our requirements as well. So, I mean, I realize there's a lot of lots here, but, that's not a good reason to waive requirements.
Staff have any comments? Okay. Anything?
It seems reasonable to me that in order to demonstrate that you have a buildable lot, you need to show a building envelope and a driveway that could comply with your regulations.
Everybody agrees with that?
Yeah, it's specifically called out under 5.5 building envelope in our site regulations, so. And it says the building envelope should be selected so as not to intrude on the tops of the ridge lines, and it goes on to list each of the criteria related to the building envelope.
We do have building envelopes on all the lots.
Right.
What section? I'm not seeing 5.5. Is it subdivision regulation or the zoning?
Under site plan regulations.
Site plan regulations don't apply
No,
here.
no, not here, yeah. I flipped to the wrong section when I did it. I
didn't
just
see a
looked at the
requirement
top and
for
realized where it
driveways.
was.
But if there is one, let us know. But
I do that time in here. Flip it open and I get the wrong section.
Thought we had it.
yeah,
Subdivisions.
Building envelopes on page 46.
Well, they said they are showing building envelopes, so I think right now we're looking for driveways.
Yep. Driveways were.
any driveways would require a driveway permit. Obviously, the open space plan we bring forth would show you all of those driveways and.
The last ones we did, the conceptual design showed them. And the caveat was that once we get into an actual situation, even the culvert in front of the lot and the driveway would be determined by the road agent, Public Works Director. So it was only a conceptual thing at that point. It was not firm or anything.
I would certainly agree with the open space design, but to show all the driveways for the conceptual yield plan seems kind of, I don't know, not necessary, and I don't know if it's required in your regs.
Yeah,
If it's
well, for some reason,
specifically
the last-
required in the regs, we can do it, but if
Yeah.
it's not, I
Well,
don't
we're
think
looking that up, but
something we should be adding, and certainly culverts.
I looked at the last 6
Conceptual driveways.
conservation subdivisions we did, and they seem to all have it in the yield plan too.
Well, they may have, you may have requested it, and they may have
We
complied.
thought it was in the regulations because everybody did it, but.
Well, that may be the case, but you have a section 6.3.2 parentheses 2 that outlines the requirements of a yield plan.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exhaustive. It talks about much of the stuff that we've been talking about all along, but it does not
A couple of them, the
require.
reason we had it is there were some steep slopes and we were curious whether they could get it.
12.3 is the driveway. 12.3 says maximum floor grade is 10%.
And looking at the profiles of some of the lots, particularly in the back end of that cul-de-sac, there's some major cuts and fills that would have to happen to, yeah.
And it doesn't say those are required for the yield plan. That's what our point is. That we know they're required for the design plans, but not for the yield
Yield
plan.
plan's got to comply with all regulations.
Find it.
No, it's page 55.
Yes, no, I know it's in there. Hang on.
It's 12.3.2.
Yes.
parentheses 4.
Hang on one second.
I think it's important to note, Joe and I already pointed it out once, is that these lots are large. Many of them are over 5 acres, and they have hundreds and hundreds of feet of frontage. And a reasonable person can look at these lots. Yeah, there's cuts and fills, and there's parts of the lot that have steep cuts and grades, but there's other parts of the lot that are perfectly flat. And it's to go to the extent of doing all those designs for something that you can look at, you can see areas on each of these lots where there is no crazy grading or steep slopes. So yeah, there may be some that are scary looking, but you could get a 10% driveway coming off this side of this lot. To go and do that effort on every one of these, and a reasonable person can look at this plan and see that it meets the intent of your ordinance.
Yeah, but you're expecting us to look at it and make that decision.
Absolutely.
We're saying you should do that because you present that information to demonstrate that you are compliant. And I think that's appropriate. We shouldn't have to sit here and design a driveway for your plan.
For example, if I look at lot 29 here, the first thing I notice is the majority of it seems to be wetlands and buffers. Then you've got the well and the septic area. You do keep them separated from the well safety area. But it's hard to find where you would squeeze a house in, for example, there.
So what
The
page?
house size
what page are you
generally
on,
could
Mr.
be
Chairman?
slightly smaller than the block shown for the septic.
513.
And then, yeah, these are just questions as we go through this that we have, you know.
That's a great lot. Lot 20, lot 29, just give you some, I don't know if you're scaling the size of that buildable envelope that's shown, but the well radius is 75 feet.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
have
I could tuck a house into the well area, I suppose.
yeah, we have a 75 by 150 foot wide area to build a house. I mean, we have 10,000 square foot to put a home on.
And we
easily.
need to remember the contiguous upland requirements in every lot is if a 120,000 square foot contiguous area of uplands doesn't fit a house, a septic, and a well. Our regulations are so askew that we need to address other things, that if you can't fit a house on that lot. I mean, that's the thing to keep in mind with the 3-acre regulation. If you can't, if you can't put a house on it.
If I may,
Please.
the yield plan is required to show that it meets all applicable requirements of the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations. The subdivision regulations require driveways that do not exceed 10%. So you need to demonstrate that you can put a driveway on each of these lots that does not exceed 10%,
2% negative.
or whatever the requirement is. Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly add a note on the plan that says all driveways will meet the 10% grade.
I don't think that's going to satisfy this board. I think you need to demonstrate that on the plan.
It seems a little excessive to do 79 driveway profiles to prove on a conceptual plan that.
Well, like I said, the last 6 that we've done didn't have that problem. Didn't, so.
I understand that you think it's excessive. This board does not. You're asking for 154 units. They're asking you to demonstrate you could actually develop 154 units.
All right, well, we'll take it into consideration.
Okay.
Any more comments?
I got nothing tonight.
Mr. Chair,
Yep, go ahead, please.
reading off subdivision regulations to save them trips back here, it does ask for bridges and culverts, street systems, parking, drainage systems, road and drainage standards, utilities, lighting, easements and right-of-ways, open space areas, deeds and documents and conveyances, monumentation. Are those all going to be required for them to return?
We generally have to
But where do you start?
require that level of detail.
Pardon me?
We generally require building envelopes, driveway detail.
Well, I would say whatever you are going to require, today is your day to give them your final list. So if you want anything besides driveways, tell them now.
Well, I mean, I'm still not satisfied with the, the feasibility, realistic and reasonable. I think that we asked for that. You didn't provide it for either the part we asked about or the project as a whole. You suggested the crossing of Spruce Creek and Stonehouse Brook is going to be done with box culverts. That is against our regulations. You cannot do a span of more than 10 feet requires a bridge. So, that was a misrepresentation, which to me would invalidate any cost studies you did. If you use that as your assumption, that would invalidate any cost studies you've done or justification. So I still unconvinced that you've satisfied that requirement.
So would you make the suggestion that you do want to see the feasibility with bridges, culverts, drainage systems to demonstrate that it meets the site plan requirements?
My point is they haven't done it so far.
So I'll take that as a yes, we would want that information.
Oh. Once again, these are under the new zoning, which is the first attempt that we're doing this. So it's kind of new to us too.
Yeah, on the profile pages, we call out where we have crossings.
Yeah,
of
you have
some of those major
wetlands impact
streams.
1 and 4. Wait a second, which is 17 feet and 20 feet respectively. So that is well above 10 feet. So that's a bridge.
Right, so it's a bridge.
We were told before that you're going to do that, you're going to accomplish that with a box culvert.
Bridges and box culverts are synonymous. What is the definition of each, right? Like,
Box culvert?
right, open bottom box culvert versus a bridge. When do you say one's one thing and one's another thing?
Say over 10 feet is a bridge.
All right, so over 10 feet's a bridge, we have bridges then, is what I'm saying.
Follow the DOT specification with the load requirement.
Yeah, we would have to follow. I mean, all bridges are designed to follow H20 loading for roadways. I mean, they have to be for everybody's safety.
If the driveways were the one hangup here, I mean, we'd be happy if you were to approve this yield plan contingent upon us adding the driveways, like a conditional type approval. I mean, that's an option.
No. Advice of the attorney is no.
But I need more info, I guess. You want to, you have certain lots that you're concerned about? You want, I mean, to show two parallel lines on each lot is one thing, but to show a profile of a driveway for 79 lots is a lot more effort. I'm just wondering, are there certain lots you have concerns about, or
Detail what you're looking for, just.
Again, I mean, I don't think we should do the engineering.
Right.
Right, and I would say if
we
we've,
had the guy put
if we've
Yeah,
required it
they
on the
put
last
parking
six,
spaces on
why
it.
would we deviate?
easily fit to do that.
Sure.
Made him do everything.
Oh.
I'm done.
Okay. Any other comments about that? Well, on the advice of our attorney, we are requesting that you do that.
And are you requesting it what I'm hearing is you want engineered driveways for every lot.
Yes,
Those are in the regulations? Yes.
we would like it to comply with the requirements of the regulation as written.
you also have to deal with the 60 days?
Yeah, we'll do that.
What we're hearing is the driveways are the only thing that's needed to be added to the plans at this point?
Not at this point.
Well, I think there was,
Yeah.
as Jamie pointed out, the bridges, culverts, there was it street systems?
Shown on the plans already, on the P sheets. We have all the crossings shown with sizes. We we haven't designed the whole stormwater system, so we don't have every culvert in the entire site. There'd be-
Talking about the culvert at each site, the road?
Yeah, per the regulation.
No, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yep.
And as I said, they would be on the plan, but of course, once we get to the real subdivision, these are all movable, depending upon. just ran
Could you
into
speak
that
into the
issue.
microphone, please?
We just ran into that issue with the, one of our subdivisions. And it was determined that you present it on the plan, but they are movable once you get, even on the conservation subdivision, they're movable, depending upon the opinion of the road agent, where a culvert should go and where the driveway would best fit, also in relationship to where the house ends up. But on this plan set, conceptually, we would like to see those also, culverts, driveways.
Road culverts you're referring to.
Yeah. In front of the driveway, if needed.
So I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing Andrew say he wants a fully engineered set of plans. And I'm hearing other people say they don't need that level of detail. So I think you guys need to decide amongst yourselves what you want so that they have a clear guidance what they need.
Read the details that you were looking at.
Well, I was just going under 532, parent 7, bridges and culverts, design of any bridges or culverts that may be required.
Move the
then
mic
street
closer,
system-
please.
Then the street systems, where it goes into the portion of the subdivider's entire holding, sketch of the prospective future street system and any remaining portions shall be furnished. Carries on into light adjustments, corrections within the street system for any parts not submitted. And then as Jamie had pointed out, he referenced utilities, road and drainage standards, noting that all road and drainage work conform to Article 12. And then there was the streets, driveways, and sidewalks component as well. That was what I was referencing.
You're with driveways principally and bridges and culverts. Which length is over 10 feet.
Well, certainly, to me, in the past, we've required driveways, building envelopes. I don't think we've gone to that, to my memory, we haven't gone to that level of detail on yield plans. I just don't remember us asking for that.
But you have a new ordinance.
Your zoning ordinance, 6322, letter C, which spells out the requirements of what needs to be on a yield plan. It does not talk about having to demonstrate all compliance with all of your road design standards and all of those things on the checklist. It says necessary to demonstrate that the conceptual lot adheres to all local land use requirements. It does not say road. It does not say anything else that you're referring to. It's talking about the lots. That's the intent of a yield plan. That's the spirit and intent of a yield plan. We're looking at the lots to make sure they meet all the right sizes. So, I'm not sure where you see in letter C in your zoning regs that say that you can ask for all that additional stuff.
It says, in order to arrive at this number, the applicant shall submit a conceptual yield plan showing how the parcel could be subdivided in a conventional manner, meeting all applicable requirements of the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. At a minimum, the conceptual yield plan shall,
Right.
and then it gives details. That's the minimum. That's not the maximum.
And F says, if necessary, the planning board may request additional information from the applicant to support the viability, realistic nature of, and feasibility of the yield. And that would encapsulate everything that was just mentioned.
I just think we should be consistent with what we've done in the past. That, we've required building envelopes, driveway design.
Well, this is we're operating under this new system.
Okay.
It's not that it's a new system. The requirement's always said to comply with subdivision regulations.
Right.
It's what out of the subdivision regulations are you wanting to require based on the lot, the particular lot, not what you've done in the past. So if this lot you feel is unique in identifiable areas that need more information, then that's the aim of that language in that article.
As they said it, at a minimum, the conceptual yield plan shall, and then list those items, including item F, which is plan code could ask for additional information. So yeah, I guess we're stuck with that. This is page 27. Subdivision. Zoning. Oh, zoning? 28 is zoning. 27 is zoning. Only driveway design.
Verify that again. We already show all that stuff. It's already in here.
Right. 6322. Was there. Got it? Last line, at a minimum conceptual plan shall.
I don't see stormwater management, that's why I'm questioning.
Yeah, okay.
Pardon?
You gotta jump to subdivision, okay.
Where's
Comply
that?
with, you gotta comply
Who's
with
that,
this.
Jamie? Any page, you can.
Comply.
7.3?
All right, 7.3. Water management plan.
Sorry to bring this up just one more time, just for clarity. Driveways and driveway designs are the only thing that we need to bring back to the next meeting, correct?
I think we're still working on that.
All right.
Hey, Scott, did you have any comments?
No.
Okay. Joyce, anything?
None that haven't been raised.
Okay.
just in reference to the comment earlier when we were talking about steep slopes and very steep slopes.
Sure.
Under 632 parents 3, with the 4-step process, it's specifically in section 1 notes identifying primary and secondary conservation areas, calling out examples of that, and the example of it is very steep slopes
Yep.
in that area.
Right.
Identifying them, they don't, right?
But it calls out identifying primary and secondary areas for the purpose of conservation.
Correct. It doesn't exclude them from the yield plan or building on them in a conventional, but those are the things you'd want to preserve when you get to the conservation portion.
Right.
We show all those on SR, the secondary resource plans, all the steep slopes and.
Any more comments, or like to open it to public comment at some point?
I think you guys are gonna need to make a decision on what else you're gonna require of this yield plan.
Well, it seems like
Just
we're at,
driveways or more?
well, we always did require the driveways. I think that's why we came up first, got the most support, just if you picture these old yield plans and now driveway location. Principally, I remember on Oak Hill, because they had steep slopes, and we were wondering if the driveway would conform to the 10% because of that steep slope. Those are kind of matters to consider. Some of these cuts and fills on the road
There was a concern with
adjacent
Young
to
Road,
the,
too.
pardon?
That was a concern with Young Road as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of the cuts and fills are rather dramatic in front of some of the lots, and can you get a driveway in there? Well, you can. Just cut through your cut and fill, the fill, and put it in there, I suppose, but it would be good to see it, that's all. I think that's what the board is saying. So if you could have that, that would be helpful.
I think Laura's probably saying, do we any more than that?
Well, I know, but nobody's, I'm looking for an answer here.
I think, pull us.
Andy, did
Driveway
you?
or driveway or more is the question.
Driveway or what?
Driveway or more.
Driveway.
I'm gonna pass right now. I'm still looking to
Okay,
see.
take your
Like
time.
I said, my brain has been taxed all day here.
Any comment from the,
Keep pulling.
Joyce,
Joyce
wasn't-
has a thought.
oh, Joyce? I'm sorry.
Driveways and culverts and bridges in as much detail as.
Okay, culverts and bridges, okay. Bob?
I think I would say driveways.
Okay.
I'm with Joyce, driveways, bridges and culverts.
Yeah, I'll confirm that. I believe that might be something we should do. Particularly with all the wetlands, and impacts on the prime wetlands and the regular wetlands buffers.
Driveways, bridges, and culverts.
Yes.
I would agree with it. My big concern, and I'm trying to figure out how I would connect it with our regulation is if you built out the conventional, what is the environmental impact study side of that from how damaging is that really? Which then may help compel their argument for their conservation subdivision and really why that is a much better alternative. But
And is there something in your regulations that requires an analysis of the environmental impact?
in the standard conventional subdivision, yes, it is required because it anywhere where you have roadways passing through it, you have more than 20,000 square feet of site excavation that's going to happen. So it would meet that requirement, but I'm trying to be reasonable from an ask standpoint on this and how I view it.
You get to Article 7, you get studies on grading, erosion, sediment control, drainage and erosion. You've got a stormwater management plan, you've got traffic impact analysis guidelines, you've got environmental impact assessment, topography, all these were done on our past subdivisions, including groundwater quality. And finally, a hydrogeological study that was done to see if it would impact any of the neighbors' wells and so forth. So all
Those are subdivisions that were actually built.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And they have done this.
Come later.
But to his point, these things that we'll be looking at, absolutely.
Right. I think it will become more applicable.
Right. Once we get into that, we'll get a lot more detail. on
Right.
things.
When I look at this, because of the amount of water and wetlands that runs through
Yeah.
this site, to get to the point where I would agree that this yield plan meets our regulations would require a lot more information. I would be really hard pressed to say that this yield plan would meet or comply with the regulations as are currently written.
Well, just looking at, for example, a quick look at the plan set shows that major prime wetland buffer impacts along roads A and C as they cross the actual large wetlands, each with a 100-foot buffer on either side of those two crossings. And then the road passing along lots 18, 20, 21, 23, 50, 51, 56, 57, 58 show the roads there are in prime wetland buffers. This is just the prime wetland ones. When you get into regular wetlands, 50 foot, you've got 21 lots. You got roads facing 21 lots. These are only used for geographical usage.
Right.
14, 15, 6, 8, 12, 22, 79, 24, 26, 29, 30, 31, 37, 41, 38, 39, 40, 43, 44, 54, and 53. And the total impact on the prime wetland buffers is almost 3 acres in size. I didn't even calculate the other ones because I've got 21 lots here facing those road cuts of 50-foot wide right away. The multiplication would be beyond my means.
Right, where I'm struggling with it is it tells me there would be probably a pile of waiver requests just to comply with the regulation to get to build this as is. The
Right.
number of waiver requests needed would be significant.
Right, these would be 9.6 special permits.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
we
then,
requested 9.6.
9.6.
yeah, right, and nobody has ever gone near our prime wetlands since 1991.
Right.
Where
and
they
this
required an
blasts
impact.
through all of it.
It's
Well-
just unbelievable.
Let me ask you this then. Is it worth sending them to engineer driveways if they come?
Yeah.
If they come back with fully engineered driveways, does that solve their problem? Do they then have an approvable yield plan?
Well, I guess-
I think that's my point is if I look at this per our regulations and we went through this to approve this per the regulation, then we have a significant number of 9.6s. John has clearly pointed out there is a significant quantity of prime wetlands buffer impacts that are going to happen and occur through it. And just looking at the cuts and fills, they would be, they're massive in nature to make happen.
We had one situation with Oak Hill. We looked at the yield plan and we noticed that the upper right-hand part of the yield plan, the road went through a wetland buffer, a 50-foot buffer. We asked if they could move the road. Their response was, well, of course we can, no problem. A month later, they came back, it was moved. It did cost them one of their lots, 15-lot subdivision went to 14, which is an 8% loss, but to move things along, they were willing to do it. That was the only time in the last 6 conservation subdivisions where we had a wetland. Everybody avoids them. You don't go near them, period.
And this is really why I have consternation over the yield plan. When I look at this yield plan, if you follow it per our regulation, it would be very challenging to say that it would create the yield that they're proposing
Yeah.
here.
I'd be curious to see if they did an outline saying, what if we did the roads and we avoided the majority of the buffer impacts? What would you end up with? But to just go through with a total of 31 frontages on lots, as well as the 2 crossings that go across the bulk of the prime wetlands on either side of lots of those 2 roads, it's just huge.
I think the important note here is that
I gotta-
you
I gotta ask some
mentioned
questions on this.
that you've asked other applicants to do, and they've done them. So, like last time, trying to get to the ask, what would you like to ask?
Well,
Looking at your
it's just so
regulations, what
overwhelming.
studies will produce results that show that it's not buildable? Those are the studies we should be asking for, right? And we should be asking the applicant for something, not talking about other cases and how they complied with your ask.
Yeah, but some,
Well, we
isn't
have
some what
regulate-
we're talking about, the justification for conservation subdivision? I mean, clearly conventional has issues. But, they're not gonna build a conventional, they're gonna build a conservation, which in theory would solve a lot of these
To
issues.
answer Jamie's point, it's just so overwhelming. I just don't know. Nobody's ever done it before.
I think herein lies the problem that we have all talked about from a how do we solve this, is that we all question the yield plan that comes before us. And when I look at a yield plan, and a conservation subdivision, the yield plan needs to comply with the regulation and show that the lots would comply with our regulations. Now, the yield plan they have can comply with the request of a bunch of 9/6s that the board would have to grant, and we would have to agree to grant them.
Yeah,
Where-
so we're kind of stuck in that.
When I look at a conservation subdivision, it's to come back and say, hey, we did our layout, we did our yield plan that complies with your regulation. We don't want to have that big of an impact. We'd like to skinny it down to this area. And that would be a very reasonable and logical approach to me, where when I look at this, I would be hard pressed to say that this would comply with our regulation without requests for waivers from all of the areas that John had just mentioned.
I'm sorry to
Go
ask
ahead.
this.
Sure,
I got to
comment.
butt in here.
Yeah,
The-
Sure.
You said there was 30 lots that need special permits to access?
No, I'm not, I said, the reason I cited the lots
Yeah,
was to show you on the road where you have violated the setback, the
All right.
buffer.
All
That's
right.
all. That's,
all right.
I
'Cause
was
gonna
very
say,
careful to say that.
All the lots can be accessed without buffer impacts. I just wanted to mention that. We don't have
I'm
buffer
not-
impact requirements.
I'm
maybe
talking
for
about
lot
the
53.
roads going through
All right. And
buffer.
roads.
Can you
have a-
move the roads?
No, a lot of the wetlands the buffers are unavoidable. Your setbacks overlap. So we would have avoided
I know,
buffers
so
if we could have. But when you have two
me,
wetlands that are,
that's a serious problem then.
well, when you have uplands between two wetlands, and that's your only place to cross, we're required to cross at the minimal impact. We're required to avoid wetlands.
Just like DES, the requirement is to avoid if possible.
Right, and we did avoid
Yeah.
as
And they-
possible.
And they have a mitigation fund you contribute if you,
Correct.
right.
Yes.
Except for prime wetlands, there is no mitigation fund.
I don't know if I agree.
I don't think so.
We didn't bring Brendan with us, but I think there is we've paid for mitigation impacts in the past for prime wetlands that we've
I
had in
checked
other
their
communities.
regulations, I didn't see that, but that's a minor point.
actually a
I'm gonna
greater-
get bogged down on that. I'm going to open this to public comment if the board,
I just have one other comment is
Oh,
we
sure.
do provide all the drainage that you're asking for. It's all on the profiles, all the culverts, all the stormwater management areas. We also provided a document from Gove Environmental from September 24th that actually goes through all the wetland crossings and what the culvert sizes are based on your.
right, there's like 12 or 13 of
Yes,
them,
yeah.
right?
I just
A
wanted to
couple of
point
them
out that I
say-
think all that information that you have.
I saw that, yeah. The question was,
Culverts and bridges, right?
Culverts/bridges, synonymous,
6-inch culvert involved and, I don't know,
right?
40 feet of box culvert total by 7 or 8 feet or something like that total.
Right.
2 of the crossings, you said you didn't need any structure though, which,
That's the.
and I think you
what he's
said, well, in further discussion or further review, maybe we will need them. Well, you either do or you don't, so at this point.
Right. Well, Wetland Bureau is involved in the sizing nowadays.
Okay. Andy, did you have something?
No, I was just pointing out the Gove environmental study that you referenced to Joyce, but.
Okay, I'm going to open it to public comment. If anybody would like to comment, please.
Probably need a microphone.
Oh, yeah. Scott, can you hand your microphone up there? Sure. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members. My
Are you
name is,
Mr. Hogan?
yes, I am.
Okay, now you represent 14 people.
Yes, sir.
Do
Doesn't get 3 minutes then.
do any of them intend to give public comments? Or are they going to allow you to do it for them?
Well, I think there are probably 1 or 2 that would like to address the board themselves, and I understand the time constraints.
We only allow 3 minutes per person.
Yes,
So if they're allowing you to take their 3 minutes, they don't have their 3 minutes. So
That still means 11 times 3, so we're not going to let them talk for 33 minutes, that's for sure. How about we give you 5 minutes to go through?
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And again, being here tonight, just in 10 seconds, kind of deja vu all over again. Myself, Planner Krevling, Attorney Spector Morgan, Attorney Pansiaco, all 4 of us have been in this configuration recently in a very similar review in Raymond for a subdivision with that, with the issues that you're dealing with here.
Okay.
The one thing that's frustrating, I know, for my group, because they've been here, obviously I have not. I've read all the minutes. The input I think they've given has been good quality, substantive input. But tonight, the review you all just went through was just handed to the board with no opportunity for us to review and comment. And the substance of the comments, just quickly, roads have been moved because of the 1,100 feet versus 11. Each of the comments specifically on, pardon me, the applicant disagrees about the engineering review about lot size issues. There are the issues about steep slopes, the impacts to buffers, vernal pools, all of the prime other wetlands, all of those. And I was thinking the same thing. This is going to be a pile of waivers. But the one thing, if I say anything else to the board tonight that I think was wound through the whole conversation, is there's no question that the yield plan has to, yes, meet all the regulations, but the kind of mantra of it being feasible and realistic. And, those go beyond just a kind of rote engineering checklist, if you will. I mean, those considerations for the board, you have the authority, the obligation to do those. And in this, the way that idea is kind of wound through the whole discussion here, and the initial discussion with the board about, driveway designs and the other requirements, because it's so big, this project, that's not a reason to not require. It's actually the opposite. This one is so big and complicated with a piece of property that has these kinds of resources that it should be held to the most exacting standard under the regulations. And they do need to demonstrate, in fact, feasibly, realistically, that they can build 158 lots. And so, given this, the only other thing I wanted to ask the board tonight is procedurally, because I saw in the past there was a discussion about your local requirements, and if it goes beyond the either 2 meetings or 60 days under the review, the initial design review yield plan, that it technically requires a resubmission. And so I know you're past that because there was an extension granted, and the language is either if an extension is requested, et cetera. But just in terms of, so we all know what the process is going to be after tonight, and just so we can have a reasonable opportunity before the next time we're all together to see whatever's being submitted to the board. I know my letter I just submitted today because I'm coming into this very recently. I did copy counsel, the board's counsel, I copied the applicant's counsel. So it was today, but in real time, I think before the board, people had an opportunity to get a look at it. So we didn't get a chance to see anything. I think you would have heard some real substantive input from the group that I'm working with right now on each of the things that the engineering review and the others, even your department heads, right? Seeing that kind of information, giving you reasonable comment on it, I think it would really help the board going forward. So those are the issues I think primarily we have right now. Realistic, feasible, technically feasible, but also the financial aspect of these bridge crossings and all the rest to access this very sensitive property. You have to know that there is an applicant that is actually capable of building this, so we're not halfway through with bridges to nowhere. And the idea, these are usually presented as a phased application, and then to me, those always make more logical sense because I'm not quite sure. I've heard the discussion and I've had a lot of the same questions that the board has had. So just clarity for my group and the public that's outside of my group that they're associated with as well, how we go forward and how we have an opportunity to present to the board so you all can see our input before, we get to the next hearing.
Okay.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
This is required, so there is no time.
Just on the design review issue, because this is a required design review as opposed to an optional design review, it's the board's position that neither the 2-meeting 60-day limit nor the resubmission requirements apply. So it's not covered by that portion of the subdivision regulations. It's a different process.
My name is Paul Clem. I live at 259 Canonback Road. I am one of the people represented by...
The mic is on, right?
Yeah, sorry. I am one of the people that is represented by Attorney Hogan. I just want to make a couple of quick bullet points. You mentioned the driveway. You've mentioned the bridges and the culverts. There's also, as Attorney Hogan has mentioned, this notion of feasibility, technical feasibility, financial feasibility, and then this notion of whether it's realistic. And when you're looking at these different aspects, you've got to look at Article 7, which talks about the need for, as one of you mentioned, hydrogeological studies. I mean, I think when I spoke a few times ago, we talked about that, according to my very rough math, we were talking 30,000 gallons of water a day from the aquifer. And you have to see whether or not this is a subdivision that can be approved. In fact, if you look at page 86 of the regs, there's a definition of yield plan, and the last part of it says that, it says a yield plan is a plan for a conventional subdivision for the subject property used to calculate the number of potential lots that comply with the requirements for a conventional subdivision. This plan must be realistic and feasible. This is more than a 20,000 gallon a day project. There's also the septic system, I assume, is more than 2,500 gallons a day. These are things that need to be studied before this yield plan is approved. And finally, a couple of times there's been mentioning that, how have we done this in the past? What have we required in the past? That's not what these regs say. Everyone in this room has to follow these same set of regulations. So it doesn't matter so much what you did in the past. What matters is what's in these regulations. And if these regulations give you the authority or the requirement to do these hydrological studies and to do these other tests and traffic studies to make sure that this is a yield plan that is feasible, technical, and realistic, then it's something that doesn't matter what you did in the past. It's something you have to do now. And the other thing was the environmental impact assessment. I realize that that's going to add a lot of time to this, but this is a huge project. It's the largest remaining project, piece of land in town that can be developed. And it has all these prime wetlands and other wetlands that need to be studied before we put roadways, particularly the two that get you from the Canonback Road into the back parts of it, before these roadways can be allowed and be accepted as the basis for a yield plan. Thank you.
Thanks. Like to make a comment?
I have a follow-up. Mr. Hogan, is he able to identify the clients that he, also whether they're abutters, which ones are abutters?
Oh,
He's got a letter that identifies him.
yep. My copy. Hello.
Hi, Colin Williams, 94 Old Settlers Road. I'm an abutter and I am a client. And it was my father that owned this property for many years. And as regards all the wetlands crossings, we applied for a bridge there in 1989, and we were denied.
Was that the dam?
Yes.
So it was more than a bridge, it was a dam. So it's gonna impound water over a massive amount of.
Nope, it was going to pound water to back here. It was a 2 acre.
It's not a bridge. It's not a bridge. It had
Okay,
culverts.
well-
We have copies.
Okay.
It had culverts.
It had 4 culverts. Water was flowing through. It was still a crossing. It was denied, and the reason it was denied, we were told, is because they know all about the beaver in this area and how they build their dams right wherever the culverts are, or a box culvert, and proceed to flood the roads. And back here, this flows both ways. When the beavers dam here, this flowage comes this way. When the beavers dam across here, it goes that way. And you can't, this is also low here, and in the buffer zone, you're asking for trouble. And to say that it's feasible to build back here, I don't believe you can get a permit. I may be wrong, but I don't believe you can get a permit to build that big of a crossing through a wetlands like that in an aquifer zone, which means that that's not accessible, which would shoot down the bulk of the lots that are in the yield plan.
Do you have any comments about the Mother's Day flood of 2006 where the town got a foot of rain?
If that's,
Did it impact that area?
I'm not sure which year, but
Well,
it washed out the
12
road.
inches of rain in a couple of days. It was
Yes.
pretty
It
memorable.
washed out this road completely for a distance of 60 yards
Yeah.
to a depth of about 7 or 8 feet. It washed out Canaan Back Road here. I have pictures of me standing in the bottom of the ditch with, I can just barely reach up and touch the road surface.
I was particularly concerned about the 2 crossings of the the bulk of the prime wetlands, if they were inundated at all.
Yeah, this one, well, they were both underwater.
Okay.
Um,
As we
It's-
know, we're going to be getting more rain in the future as things heat up.
The current way the indicators are going, we're getting more 100-year storms every 10,
Thank you for
15
answering
years.
that. One more question. Why wasn't any conservation land set aside the years past? Would have saved half of it?
And my father and I had this angry discussion hundreds of times. He was former chairman of the board of Fish and Game in Massachusetts for almost 20 years. He was an avid conservationist, but as he got older, he got more conservative and he wouldn't do it. I mean, he's life member of Ducks Unlimited and every conservation organization you can think of, but too much Yankee in them or something like that. And
Okay, I was just curious.
I'm-
Do you- Oh, your time's up, but thank you for
Thank you.
answering my questions. I was just curious, that's all. This is design review was informal, so. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Taylor. I'm resident of 52 Old Settlers Road. I'm an abutter. Actually, my property probably is the most at risk, as I mentioned before, because it goes right along Spruce Brook and into the marshlands there. So thank you for allowing me time to voice some additional concerns about this project. In my prior comments to you, I focused my concerns on the construction of the bridges and roadways and the potential impediments to the water flow and potential flooding that could result from the disruption of the natural flow of water in these brooks and that surround that entire land. But tonight, I'd like to ask you to please consider the potential impact a development of this size could have on the groundwater and function of nearby residents' wells. One of the things I love about living in this rural area is that we have to have a well for our water supply, and nothing tastes better than New Hampshire, fresh water out of your well. And, resident wells also benefit the town, as the town is not required to provide the infrastructure and cost of providing water to all of its residents. And therefore, I believe that the town has an obligation to ensure that large developments such as this will not pose a threat to the functioning of surrounding residents' wells. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency estimates that the typical U.S. household uses more than 300 gallons of water each day. We need assurance that the groundwater supply that feeds our wells will not be diminished by the estimated 47,400 gallons per day that would be needed to support 158 new homes. Additional questions that come to my mind are, what impact could a development of this size have on the quality of the groundwater as a result of the construction process and future winter maintenance of roadways, fertilizer usage, any potential household contaminants put into septic systems or disposed of directly onto the land, or God forbid somebody decides to dump things in the wetlands. Also, how does the developer plan to supply water to such a large conservation development that is adjacent to an aquifer? How might that impact the viability of the aquifer? So I asked the planning board to ensure that as part of your evaluation process for this development request, that there's a hydrological study done to determine how local residents' wells could potentially be impacted and how exactly Lewis Builders intends to provide water to the proposed homes.
Just to answer something, if you go to the subdivision regulations, which you can find on the town website, Article 7, additional information and studies, and Article 13, drainage erosion sedimental control standards. These all lay out various studies that can be used, including the hydrogeological study that you had mentioned, which is Article 7.
So are you affirming that that would be part of your
Oh, I
process?
can't speak for other people. We cannot communicate except at a meeting, so we don't discuss these
Okay.
things outside of this. But I would think it's something to consider. We've got 158 lots. And so just wanted you to be aware, and you can look these up to see what you think.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak?
There's two more people.
Two more.
You can see that.
I got my 3-minute clock here, so you don't even need to worry about it.
My timekeeper here.
My name's Connor Yaney. I'm here with my wife, Laura. We're property owners of 36 Old Settlers. We're in very close proximity to the development plan, and we just moved in this summer. I wanted to bring to your attention concerns around increased traffic. So I read through a traffic impact study that was just done in September. And they focused on the area between the driveway that would be put in and the south part of Canaan Back Road to the intersection with Franklin Pierce Highway. And that was the only area that they focused on. They didn't even look at how it would be focused or how it would change the rest of Canaan Back Road or Old Settlers. And we can expect that there would be some changes there as well. And this wouldn't be, a small change to the rural feel of the area, but it would be a drastic change. So they estimate that the numbers would go from about 160 vehicles per day during a weekday to over 1,500 vehicle trips per day, which is substantial. And I'm not sure how our 18-foot wide dirt road would handle that over time. Yeah. So they focused and analyzed the intersection at Franklin Pierce Highway with Canaan Back Road. That traffic volume is obviously going to increase substantially, and they looked at things like vehicle delay and vehicle queue timing and things like that, which would change. I'm more concerned with the safety of that intersection. I mean, I use that intersection every day for the last few months that we've lived there, and I feel like it would become a when, not if, that a car crash would occur behind the grass island that's on that road. It goes from the dirt road to a fork. There's a grass island there. I'm thinking left turn to left turn, increased volume. I'm already nervous about it. So I just think it would be a matter of when, not if. So that's a safety concern.
Sure, DOT would be concerned too.
Yes.
So they'll probably require there be some major fix there.
Yep.
Sight lines are an important thing, 400-foot sight lines in either direction.
Yep. And with the dirt road, I imagine dust kickup would be an issue.
Could be discussed.
Yep. For my family personally, we have a 1.5-year-old. We have another one on the way. With the increased traffic, in the future, my children walking home from a bus stop, from a neighbor's house. We are going to be living full-time with my parents. My parents are co-owners of this property. My father's partially blind. He cannot drive. One of the ways he can get out of the house is by walking or jogging. And we moved to this area because it's rural, and it would be a huge disappointment to have such a drastic change like this for us personally. That's all I have. I really appreciate your time and you guys taking this seriously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello again.
Hello.
252 Canneback, Henry Peterman. Glad to be here. I appreciate your time. I'm going to jump all over the place with my speech here because I don't know how many times I'll be able to stand up here. But just to piggyback on that, Old Settlers Road, how many people in this potential development will then begin golfing and taking Old Settlers Road, making that a primary point of access to Nipple Lake? I know I take it to it, and I can just picture how many people from this place will now start using Old Settlers Road all the way through the Layton driveway. Now, I just want to bring up, I didn't realize that a DEC study took time to request to get the results. So all the results I have are from a 2020 demographic study. In 2000 to 2020, Barrington grew by 1,851 residents. With the NES DEC study for schools, they recommended a growth of grades K through 4 of 1.5 to 4 classes. That did not take into account a development of this size. Grades 5 through 8, 0.5 to 1 classes needed. And grades 9 through 12, Barrington would need $100,000 to $200,000 additional dollars needed. Now let's take into this number. I moved to Barrington for the schools. I grew up in this area. My family has been in this region for, I think, 13 generations. I look back on Ancestry. And I moved to Barrington because I have access to 2 of the top 10 high schools and the top vocational school in the state. That's why I came back here. Now, this development, people will move here for the schools. This will add grades K through 4. We'll need 3 to 7 classrooms. Grades 5 through 8, 1 to 2 classrooms. Grades 9 through 12, 200,000 to 400,000 additional needed. When I voted for that option for this to be feasible, I also voted for it to be feasible for my taxes. Will we have to build new schools? Will we have to hire new bus drivers? And on that, I just want to talk about this development is the farthest from Barrington facilities. Will we see on the next vote, once this goes through, once this is built, trash pickup? It's the farthest from the dump. Is trash pickup going to be the next option on our ballots? Will we need to hire more police officers, more firefighters? Will we need another plow truck? They can say they're going to plow the driveways. We don't know that. That's not guaranteed yet. I also would like to know that we've all lived here a long time. We've all seen an increase in the mosquito shield, the pest shield, the spraying for ticks, spraying for mosquitoes, right? Who's going to cover the bill for the damage to the wetlands? Who's going to cover the bill for the damage to Stonehouse Pond? It's not going to be the builders. It's going to be the town. It's going to be the taxpayers. And that's where I'm concerned about this development the most. I just want to point out a few things too, that it is not up to us as the residents. It is not up to the board. It is up to these builders to demonstrate compliance with the regulations. And I'm getting really tired of hearing like, oh, well, just driveways will be here, driveway will be here. No, it is up to the builders to prove it. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay. What else? One more? There's one more. Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug Bogan. I'm chair of the Barrington Conservation Commission. And I don't have a lot of other specifics to add, but I do want to just remind everybody that in addition to this property being the single most important #1 conservation priority for the Conservation Commission and hopefully for the town, it's also the largest area of unconserved, undeveloped land within Barrington's portion of the Isinglass watershed. And, you know, we've had a pretty bad drought the last few months, and not the worst we've seen in years, but pretty bad. And there were times when, you know, you could hop across the Isinglass River without getting your feet wet, you know. We can't control droughts or floods, but we do know that there will be more droughts and more floods in the future, especially with climate disruption. And we need to be sure that whatever water is going in and coming out of that watershed, that it needs to be as clean as possible, as conserved as much as we can. And we need to be looking at the cumulative impacts. I know the regulations don't really get into cumulative impact, except perhaps an environmental impact statement, or hopefully a hydrogeological study will get to that. But, we have always been concerned and had growing concern about the number of waivers that keep getting put on the wetland buffers, the 9.6 permits. In some cases, they're probably inevitable or can't be helped, but there are just so many potentially that this project would need if it was a conventional development that we would really look very strongly on opposing those. And we have to look at, what what we're getting as a result. And again, it's cumulative, how many residences are there going to be and what big a footprint are they going to be on? It's still going to impact that watershed. And so I just wanted everybody to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Yaney. You heard my husband speak as well from 36 Old Settlers Road. I appreciate all my neighbors speaking about our really close local impact. I would like to make one comment on a larger impact to our community, even outside of Barrington. I am a physical therapist at Wentworth Douglas Hospital. I do work on the inpatient units, and I do see every day the impact of our growing community in terms of the healthcare burden of those institutions. I do have concern that adding more individuals to the size and degree of this development would further burden those healthcare systems. Average wait times in emergency departments are 2 to 8 hours. Some people staying in the emergency department for up to 2 days straight. We call those boarders because they don't actually get the ability to get a room as an inpatient. So that's just one example. When it comes to finding primary care physicians, you're going to wait 3 to 6 months just to get that initial appointment. As far as specialists, you're going to wait 6 to 8 months just to get that first appointment. And that's after those 3 to 6 months you waited to get into your primary care. So our healthcare systems are being overburdened. I'd like to also mention that Frisbee Memorial Hospital has recently downsized significantly. Many of their individuals of that community served are now being diverted to Wentworth Douglas Hospital, which is the primary hospital for this community. I'd like to even take one step further out and say communities like up in the Lakes region, Huggins Hospital does not have in-depth medical care. So a lot of those individuals are being diverted to Wentworth Douglas as well. Now that Mass Gen Brigham is part of that system, it is highly recognized as a top leader and provider, which it is, and we are so grateful to have such good healthcare in our community, but burdening the system is not going to improve our health-related quality of life. And we know that health-related quality of life is a huge indicator of life satisfaction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Got one more, I think, Scott.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. How are you? Catherine Clem of 259 Candyback Road. And you hear everyone talking, and I think what we're saying here is, I don't begrudge people doing what they want to do with their property within reason, within regulations. And I think what we're asking for is just some creativity and maybe something that's more in balance with our community and maybe, dare I say, smaller because of this huge impact. So I think that's all we're asking is maybe something where we could all live with what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead.
No.
Harold Morris with Lewis Builders.
I remember you.
I know you do. I got a question for you.
Okay.
A little lighthearted. What's the difference between a builder
and a conservationist? Does anyone know?
Sure you do, so.
So a builder wants to build a house in the woods, and a conservationist already has a house in the woods. Now, I heard tonight some very important things will be addressed on the final plan. I think, you know, this yield plan has people thinking we're going to build all this road and put all these lots in. That's not our intention. There's got these people all scared about wetlands and prime wetlands. We understand there's prime wetlands there. We want to conserve the prime wetlands. That's why we're asking to approve our yield plan so that we can put our conservation plan where it belongs. We understand all that. So I think we need to let everyone know that this is just a yield plan. And so the last lady was very nice, and she said something about, could we build less units? Well, you're asking us to do all these things, studies and all this. It has to be feasible for us to build it, right? You're going to have to upgrade Kennebec Road. That's going to cost money. So we need these many lots to build a development. And I like to remind everybody, we have 550 acres here. 550 acres. Does anyone understand how much land that is? And all we're asking for is 79 lots, 158 units. And we do a good job. I don't know if anyone knows what we do. We've been in business since 1958. Yep. And I heard someone, question whether it was buildable or we could get it built. We can get it built, okay? I don't put people's mind at ease. We know that a lot of things have to be addressed, but this is a yield plan. Everybody has to understand this is a yield plan. So all we're asking for is to approve the yield plan, so then we'll come back with a conservation plan. That's all. You don't want to keep adding stuff to it. I think everything you keep adding to it is unreasonable. It really is. The spirit and intent of a yield plan in any other world is show these way less than we did here. You already asked for a lot. We already went out there and practically engineered a road here. I'm sitting here thinking, why don't we just finish the engineering and build this? And I know that's not what you want.
Okay.
So get us our plan approved. Approve it. I'd like to ask you to approve it tonight with one condition. We add the driveways. We'll engineer the driveways with that condition. We'll come back and give you the plan. You guys can look at it, but approve it tonight.
This yield plan was just developed. This new,
I don't want to hear about the ordinance was just developed. It's about being reasonable. You're all reasonable people. If this was you on this side, you'd be more than upset than I am. I'm not really upset.
Okay.
All I'm saying is approve our yield plan, because we're going to come back with a full-blown set of plans for a conservation plan, right? So if you don't want, you make everybody do all this.
I'm curious, why?
You could do what a lot of people do is do a lot size by soils. You take all your soils and you size your lots, and that's how many units you get.
Time's up. Thank you.
Can I have your time? This is my son's time. I can't have my son's time?
No, I think we're done.
Well, he's a co-owner. I can't have his time?
You can't.
You give the lawyer to speak for everybody, then you let them come up and speak. I can't have 3 more minutes?
He is the applicant, not the butter.
I'm the applicant, not on a butter. You really going to shut me off? Is that the board's decision?
Go ahead. What else do you have to say? I understand what you're saying. You want us to approve the yield plan.
I know you understand what I'm saying, but I just want to take a second to think if there's anything else I want to address with the concerns of everybody. I don't know, I guess I'd ask you guys, besides the driveways, is there going to be anything else? I need to know. We need to know that.
We polled the group and everybody said the driveways were important to see, particularly.
Well, I understand they're important. I understand that. But is that the last thing you're going to ask? I don't want to come back next month and have you ask us for something else. Just can't. Prove it tonight with that condition.
We're not proving anything at the moment.
I'm asking you to approve it tonight with that condition.
I've already expressed my concern about the fact that to make your yield plan work requires probably in excess of 59.6s.
Okay.
Which means you have to ask us to waive our regulation to make your yield plan work.
Okay. Have you ever denied any of those waivers?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And we've worked with people to make less of an impact.
Yeah, I understand.
Prime wetlands, there's never been a special permit issued for a prime wetland.
Right.
Since 1991, period.
Yeah. But taking all that consideration, I understand that, but this is a yield plan.
Well, you knew that coming in before you brought the
It's a yield plan.
But your yield plan, your yield.
What you're saying is I need to go and put this plan in, is what you need to say.
What I'm saying.
You're telling me to go build that plan right there and come in and ask for waivers.
Do you want to listen or do you just want to talk?
I want to listen, but I want to listen to reasonable people.
That's hard pressed right now.
You can't keep
Because
talking over people.
I agree.
you're not listening. Your yield plan is predicated on these 9/6s. That's the only way you get your yield is with these 9/6s, which means to request us to approve it is presumptuous at best, that we would say that it is perfectly acceptable as is, when we don't believe it is. And I'm specifically saying I don't believe it is because in order to accomplish your yield plan, it requires waivers from everything.
Okay.
So build a yield plan that actually complies with our regulations, and I'll gladly approve your yield plan without any issues, and you can amend your site plan to a conservation subdivision and then present that.
Okay.
But don't request don't give us a yield plan that's going to require a pile of waivers.
Okay.
Is that to me is reasonable?
I understand. That's reasonable. Okay. Does the board feel the same way? Is that a unanimous decision of the board?
Well,
Because if it is, I need you to vote on this plan tonight and deny it tonight.
Stop a minute, our attorney would like.
Just deny it tonight.
The board is not making a decision because you're demanding it. You're asking them questions, they're giving you an opinion. They will make a decision at some point, but you're out of order in asking them, demanding that they give you an answer right now. So let them have a conversation after the public hearing is closed, but standing there and demanding that they all tell you what they think and make a decision right now is just not appropriate.
Well, I think it's appropriate to ask for it tonight, whether.
That's fine.
I'm asking for it. I'm asking for you to vote on it tonight. Because if you think I have to go back and change this plan, you might as well deny this plan. So I'm asking you to vote on it tonight so I can do what I have to do. Well, no, I'm saying tonight you need to vote on it. We went through all your letters. We went through all this. I'm asking for a decision
But he's
tonight.
not going to stand there and
Whether it's an
demand
up or
it.
down
You
decision,
right
I
now.
need a decision tonight. If it comes down to you guys have your discussion and you want to be reasonable and say the driveways is all you need, and I want that to be a condition, we'll do the driveways. That's it. Other than that, vote it down, please.
My experience with pretty much every builder in the 10 plus years that I've sat here on this board is that we can have a very productive back and forth without having edicts and demands thrown at us as to how we work.
Never happened. All of the people who've dealt with 3.5 years I've been on the board,
And
nobody stood there and demanded we do something.
And
They're all very nice people who didn't
John,
attempt to browbeat the board.
I'm not trying to browbeat you.
John, I would like to
I'm simply trying to get you to vote on it.
And I would even like to point out that, for example, if you're looking for it, the Young Road Conservation Subdivision was completely re-engineered afterward because it wasn't there. So
But it doesn't really matter what other developers have done.
You're
I
right. It
understand what
doesn't.
you're all saying. I understand what you've experienced in the past. He is entitled to ask you to vote on the yield plan tonight. I would say at this point, it might be time to close the public hearing, perhaps take a break. Maybe we could have a conversation.
Their attorney would like to speak.
For the record, Patricia Panciaco. I think what we have here is a problem. We have an ordinance that's replete with inconsistencies, a lack of definitions. You read one thing in the zoning ordinance, it states otherwise in the subdivision regulations. And we've really tried to meet the letter of what we thought was in Article 6 that we had to follow. We studied it. We looked at it really carefully. But the way we're hearing you is you want a fully engineered conventional subdivision plan. And that is just not a yield plan. It's wholly inconsistent with design review. And your own conservation subdivision regulation makes up this new term, what is it, preliminary conceptual design review? That isn't even in the statute. So we can't look at the statute. It's a combination of two different types of review that have wholly different requirements. I don't know what the previous ordinance says, but the language in this ordinance makes me dizzy. And I read these all the time because I cannot find guidance anywhere else to help me define terms. And I brought that up to you last time. What is reasonable? What is viable? And where is the authority granted to this board to adopt an ordinance that says we have to prove it's financially viable? There is no authority for that, and we've touched on that. But now we've got abutters looking for that too. They want to prove that they can afford to build this because it's in your ordinance. I think that's what you're hearing is a level of frustration. We don't know whether we're coming or going. And it says here in your ordinance, the applicable zoning, the applicable subdivision regulations. Well, which ones are applicable? We're looking at you and we're watching this go back and forth, and this looks like ad hoc planning board discretionary decision-making. I can't help but say it. One man has a list what he wants, another one has another list. And we're sitting here with how many pages in that plan? Yes, this is a large piece of land, but there's a lot of information there, much of which the board has asked for tonight, and Joe's telling you it's already on the plans. Honestly, I saw your consultant's report. I was shocked at how short it was, how little that man found. And everything he found, Joe either said it was on there or we meet the regulations. So I think the problem is the ordinance. And that is a real dilemma here because we don't know how to read it or interpret it. And I'm not sure you really realized what it was when you put it in there. So I don't know.
You are the test case.
Well, we're a guinea pig, but we don't know what we're running around like this, not knowing which end of us is up. I think what Harold's asking you for is a decision from you. Show us this, and you're all set. We are not going to comply with every single one of your subdivision regulations on this plan. Very, very few plans comply with regulations 100%. You know that. You've talked about all the waivers that got granted. They're your recommendations of design requirements, but no parcel of land meets all of them. So we're just looking for some clear and defined direction, not being a ping pong ball. Thank you.
Any response? Okay. Go ahead. Scott.
Is there anybody online who wishes to make a comment? If so, please raise your hand online.
Okay, in that case, I'll close public comment. Her voice up there?
Kelly is the second page.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I've been trying to get on. It wouldn't let me through for public comment. For online.
Okay. In your name
can
and
I-
address, please?
Sure. I'm Donna Masucci. Address is 218 Nipple Court here in beautiful Barrington. I would like to, well, thank you. I just have two concerns I have. One is the public safety, fire and police. We are understaffed for most of our public workers. We need another fire truck, apparently. And I'm wondering if this goes in, if we're going to need in the future vote for a substation for fire trucks. Because usually they say it should be like 5.7 minutes to get to a fire to be productive. The second The second thing I want to talk about is I want to thank Mr. Peterman for talking about school situations, because that 158 housings will bring in more children, and they aren't born at 5 years old. They are born as infants, and parents that are going to communicate with, I'm sorry, not communicate, that is going to help our community by being productive workers and paying taxes, will need a place to put these children. They're building in a child care desert. That means that there is no child care centers around this area. You have 2 centers here in Barrington. You have 3 in-homes that are licensed. What are they planning to do to help our town with that? My thing is require the developer to fund impact studies for police and fire, mandate funds to fund the essential services, and most critically, what are they going to do for the child care situation? I know that's probably not on their plate. They're worried more about building and selling and leaving, but then we're left with what's left over. How are we going to face that? Thank you for your time, and I'm sure that this board is capable of making the right decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on waiting?
So Jamie, you see where the KP is in the central column?
Is there anybody else online who wishes to comment?
Just below that is 2. There you go.
I don't see anyone. If there's anybody out there and they're not being seen, please speak up, unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Closing public comment. Is there any motion here?
Close public comment?
A motion, we take a break?
Yeah.
Motion to take a recess?
Okay. Vote on it.
Shepherd, aye.
Napa.
WOI.
Just your eye.
Hey, just a 5-minute break. You gotta be descriptive here.
Ballard, aye.
Let's go on. 5-minute break.
Is it non-public?
Public session. Beg your pardon? 5 minutes, I guess, yeah. Stretch your legs if you need to. Consult with your attorney if you have to.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if they, I have to go back and look at it, but we specifically talked about that.
Signing 79 driveways.
Because it was supposed to be drafted as your defining criteria was there. That was post, the renovation project over on that little side road, across from, Beauty Hill. That I forget, because, and it was done that way, Scott, because the way they got there,
Well, all we heard was stretch your leg. Okay, yes, all right. That's what we needed to know.
Listen, we still had to announce this. We get the letter of law. What that problem is. Letter of law says they should announce they're going to town hall. I said, Board of Selectmen, on the planning board, for a reason. Criteria. Meeting with their attorneys, fine. That's all good. They have to announce it. Should have announced it to the whole. We're an open society here. I would have checked. Imagine I had a white shirt. They're blatantly asking us to negotiate. Like, almost like they want to twist our arm and you're gonna take some lots off. You're gonna take some lots off. People gonna say they're. It's just a terrible one. They know it's terrible. Our town has pretty really big. Like it. I should have bought this land. It was been for sale for a long time. I should have bought this. I should have bought it. I want 15. I want 15 now. So let's get the 15. Get up and say it.
This is better than going to the fights. What's that fights this weekend? Saturday night? MMA fights out. MMA fight. What's the other? Live? I want to get back. Oh, yeah. Where's the body? Elbows and cauliflower ears. Yeah. Very well. This guy needs to get more. Yeah. If you don't know me,
As you have heard, the board's primary concern relates to the road and the number of special permits that would be required under section 9.6 of the zoning ordinance of the road. To get a special permit, would have to demonstrate that after review of all reasonable alternatives, it's not feasible to locate the road outside each of the buffers. In addition to showing the engineered driveways, the board wants to retain an independent expert to review the road locations to determine if it is feasible to redesign the road to lessen the wetland buffer impacts at your expense. And we would start with CMA. Comments? I was actually I was asking your representative who you.
No, we don't want to do that. We want to pay.
Okay. Okay. Because originally I saw that you were the designated spokesman here, but it seems the last meetings have shown that really you're not, so.
Probably they were application, you guys withdrawn the application.
Respectfully, we ask that you vote our application up or down tonight.
Okay, is there a motion? Anybody?
I make a motion, we deny the yield plan as presented
Why?
Yes, why?
because of the required 9.6s, and I may be alone on this, but I do not believe the back lots are economically viable due to the number of bridges required to get there, the infrastructure, the stormwater management, the steep slopes. So I think those back lots, to me, don't make viable economic sense.
Okay. I'll second that motion, principally because it's not reasonable and realistic in that a great number of 9.6 special permits would be required in order for this to proceed. I think the number of indicated in my remarks earlier showed that the roads are just plowing through these buffers without any regard for an alternative design. So roll call vote now.
Now, wait a minute,
Oh,
let
wait a minute.
everyone else
Oh, okay,
comment.
okay. I thought, okay, go ahead, comment.
Yeah, I think I'm certainly concerned about the scale of this, the wetlands, the nature of it, and the amount of permits that are going to be required to get through each of those areas. I don't think it's reasonable as well.
As I expressed before we went into recess, I'm concerned that when I look at the yield plan and the number of potential 9.6 waivers that would be required, that the reasonableness of alternatives have not thoroughly and fully been vetted to lay this out in a way that meets the intent of the conservation subdivision regulation.
My concern from the beginning was the amount of water on this property. When, at the first meeting, when you had a color photo showing land versus water and the amount of water on this land. So I would love to have another set of eyes on this plan to see if you can minimize how those road crossings go over prime wetlands and wetlands.
I also feel that the number of 9.6s just are not reasonable to get the subdivision approved as it's drawn there.
Okay, roll call vote on denying the application.
Denied.
Yeah, agree.
I can't hear.
I'm voting to deny.
Knapp to deny.
Capiello to deny.
Tessier deny.
Aller deny.
Driscoll to deny.
May I address the board for one question?
No.
As long as
Unrelated
it's,
to-
as long as it's a question.
It's a question. I only bring it up as a point of order. You folks all left in recess. And I sat on a planning board just like you are. And I sat on the selectman board in my town, and we would never walk out and go into a non-public, even if we're meeting with our attorney, without announcing that we're going to a non-public meeting and meeting with our attorney. I just think in the future, you might consider that. That is all.
We did ask our attorney to comment on that.
Yep, I just wanted to bring it up for point of order, that's all.
It wasn't a non-public, it was a non-meeting, and we should have said it, and I did come out, and I conveyed to Attorney Panciaco that that's what we were doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right. Oh, I got it right here. How quickly things disappear.
Approval of the minutes, that was supposed to be done before this
Started.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion. Okay. Roll call to approve the minutes.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap aye.
Capiello, I to approve the
Tessie, aye.
minutes.
No, we just approved the minutes.
Okay, now to,
Oh, I moved it.
I seconded the motion.
I was first. I moved it.
Seconded by me.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap aye.
Nope.
Oh, hold on, hold on.
We jumped the gap.
Town planning has
All right, so you have this packet here that we gave you. It's got some dates on it for possible schedule on zoning, going over the zoning amendments. And if you could go over those, I would appreciate it. Not tonight, you know what I mean, decisions. Just take a look at it, and I'll follow up with emails to people individually to try to get
Laura,
these.
thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Nice to see y'all.
That's it, thanks.
Ooh, can I add that Ernie gave you the thing for form-based code last meeting that kind of just got lost in the ether. So moving forward with some of the form-based code ideas, some of you involved doing a little drive around on the 11th, but might be good reading so people know what everybody's talking about in future meetings.
Okay.
I made a motion to adjourn.
I think Ron seconded.
Bob seconded.
Bob seconded.
That's Bob's thing.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap.
I don't think
Bob.
Bob.
Nap.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
All right.